I'm mainly speaking to young Africans across Africa, and maybe you're not even in Africa, you're in Europe, Australia, you're trying to seek opportunities there, you're in maybe the USA. I am trying to, bring up a topic about unemployment in Africa. The situation in every African country is quite terrible, much worse than our counterparts in other parts of the world, in the USA, in Canada, in Europe. And our friends over there actually do a good job in terms of recording the statistics. I'm not sure whether the statistics that we see about African countries is actually correct. And if you look at stats from the World Bank and all that, I think they're heavily cooked up numbers. Because I'm an African myself, I've been in the neighborhoods. If you go to the hood itself, you will see that the unemployment levels are over even 80, 90%. And there's just some 10% of young people that are gainfully employed as we define employment, maybe in the USA or Europe or elsewhere. So our definition of employment in terms of someone just going and doing some manual labor somewhere, I really don't take that as proper employment. You find some terrible situations where there are some, proper school leavers. I've seen people finishing college and having a degree and going to work as a security guard, and it's a terrible situation. But what can we do as young people in Africa? There are so many ways in which we can try and solve unemployment. There's people who try and say, okay, you can start a business instead of waiting for a job after you graduate from college. I totally disagree with that because before you actually start anything, you need to have a proper infrastructure. You need to have some sort of funding. You don't have, for example, in our situation as Africans, we probably mostly start on our own. We don't inherit anything from parents and all that. At least up to this generation. Maybe the next generation things are going to be a bit easier. But we're fighting, and we see a fighting spirit in many Africans, but it's just not possible to get enough money to start on something. And even if you do get that kind of money that you want to start something, you need a bit of experience in the field that you're trying to venture into before you do whatever any business there. So, for example, I'm a software developer. I won't just go into a software development business without knowing the ins and outs of the industry itself. So, to me, that's one of the major problems that we're facing. There are people that are playing in that field as Africans, maybe as in IT, they ventured into IT as a business, and you see their lack of experience contributing to the fact that whatever jobs they're getting from governments, and yes, there are people who are better placed, well placed, and well connected to governments and all that, and doing those businesses. But whatever they get as a business, they pass it on back to Indians and whoever is there available to do those jobs for them. So those jobs don't trickle down to Africans per se; they trickle all the way back to people from other parts of the world. So you need to have a bit of an experience. So here, I'm not talking about business, I'm talking about career. There are so many paths that people can take into, alleviating the situation, the unemployment situation or underemployment situation in Africa. But I'm talking about software development in this aspect because that's what I know. I'm always a believer of the fact that you can't take people through something that you've never been yourself. So I've been unemployed and I've been employed. I've been here in the industry for about 18 years, and I want to talk in terms of how you can get through to get a job. And obviously, we may not have those jobs at this point in time in Africa, but I'm optimistic that in the next couple of years we will be turning more and more toward our own African talent to be able to service our deficiencies that we have in the information technology sector. So as we're speaking right now, you've got 1.5 million jobs in the USA alone, according to the US labor statistics. They do quite a good job in looking at the ground and doing surveys and all that with employers and everyone. So they came up with a figure 1.5 million unfilled software development jobs. And then you look at the other end in Africa, you've got millions of young people who are just sitting at home or maybe trying to get some loans in banks and maybe going to church and praying with prophets, sowing seeds there that I want to get a job and all that. Yet, on the other hand, there's millions of jobs, not only in the USA, and you can also go maybe to Europe, but those people are not just looking to pick up anybody without any skill. You have to demonstrate that you know your skills. It's not demonstrable just by having a bachelor's degree, and unfortunately, I think the industry has learned about that, even in the USA or wherever. They don't just take in people with a degree or a postgraduate degree in computer sciences or information technologies. You've got to know, you've got to have the streetwise knowledge for you to get through. So that's what we try and preach. It pains me as a person who has gone through a bit of unemployment, and I know in terms of how painful it is. I think my firstborn child was born when I was when I was unemployed, and yeah, you can imagine what I went through. But yeah, so those jobs are readily available there. Do have access to them as a person, and we do have access to them even as a company as well. I've got a company that's registered and compliant in the USA, so that gives us access to most of those jobs. But we're lacking people, and we won't just pick up somebody and say, okay, come and work for us for our client here and there, because they probably don't have the skills. So you can decide and say, okay, I'm gonna apply for these jobs on my own, but chances are 1,000 applications later you're gonna come back deflated. You didn't actually pull through. It's not easy to do it on your own. You need someone who's been through a few things. You can learn a few things um, by yourself. As time goes by, you can get a job, small job somewhere, a small piece job with a few other people. So groom yourself up to the knowledge levels that these international jobs require. But the chances are, by the time you learn, you're probably too old to be able to be taken as one of the prime candidates into some of those jobs. So what I'm trying to do here is coming up with a one-year course where we can drill you into the required standards that we expect, not just that we expect, but that the world actually expects of you to have. It doesn't matter whether you've got a degree or maybe even a PhD as well. So I've seen people that do have even PhDs, but they cannot do what a high school dropout actually does in the USA or maybe in China or thereabouts. But yeah, the opportunities are there. I think it's a matter of choice at this point in time as I'm speaking to you. You can go on your own path, go on the internet, go and learn a few things. Maybe, you know, there's a whole lot of, even LinkedIn itself has got LinkedIn Learning, and that takes you through some training. So we're just offering an alternative here so that even after you finish your college degrees or you haven't even gone there, we're offering a path here where we can drill you, groom you, and give you all the necessary required skills and make sure you have within a year. It's the last mile that we want to exploit and make sure that people are ready to go into those markets. I assure you today, if we have, for example, 1 million young Africans drilled who are heavily skilled within the area of software development, they will be able to find a job. The numbers in Africa currently, there's about 700,000 people out of maybe a population of 1.5 billion or thereabouts. Only 700,000 people that are working something related to software development. And compare that number, for example, with South America, which has got a much lesser population than Africa, but they've got about 2.2 million people that are working in software development there. And for example, India itself, India as a country, India is not a continent, but India has got about 5 million developers, and USA has got 6 point something million developers. Why not Africa having maybe 2 million developers? The opportunities are there in the world, across the world. And when we open up those opportunities in the world, we are going to open up opportunities right here in Africa as well. So it's an industry that can absorb even 5 million Africans with the help of maybe even political governments in the future. We should be able to open up Africa in software development. So the future is bright in terms of software development. You can start a career in software development without any kind of formal schooling in terms of maybe college. I think if you're going to do it without any schooling, it's going to be difficult for you. So at least we expect, for example, in our program that we're doing, we expect to start with people maybe who've got a high school living certificate that has got a pass in mathematics. Pass in mathematics is just there to ensure that you do have a bit of logic. When you show some capacity, when you show capability by passing mathematics, not exactly a credit or distinction, just a pass in your high school mathematics. You should realistically be a trainable person to be able to go and access all these readily available jobs out there. So we are there. Talk to us. Subscribe. I think there's a link. I'm gonna put a link somewhere wherever I post this. I'm gonna put a link down there, or maybe on the video itself. You can subscribe just to hear a little bit more about the program that we're doing. But at this point in time, there's a book that I've written that can guide you through. You can find it on Amazon. The link is also there somewhere. So find that book, read that book, start reading that book, start preparing yourself. So that's just the first step to make sure that you are aware what is expected of you.